The last 2.5 to 3 years have been absolutely crazy the world over. COVID brought us the first cataclysmic event in 75 years, and as a result, we've all been through quite a lot. The shock, the loneliness, the sadness, the guilt, the anxiety. It was hugely overwhelming at times and incredibly confusing. And while all those emotions, all those feelings don't feel particularly great or normal, they totally are normal. There was huge amounts of loss for people as well. People lost their jobs, they lost their energy, their confidence, relationships. We lost our freedom in so many ways, and some of us lost a huge amount of sleep. But they do say that from endings come new beginnings, even the big losses. And by the big losses, I mean the human-shaped ones. Now, I still remember the day for me like it was yesterday. I'm talking about the 20th of March 2012, recognised, by the way, the 20th of March as International Day of Happiness, a day that was chosen to represent all that is good in the world. Governments came together from all over and talked about dedicating their efforts to filling the world with happiness. 20th of March also happens to be the day that my dad died. Of all the days to die, he only went and died on what is meant to be the happiest day of the year. Now, while it's definitely ironic, I think there's something kind of cool about this because happiness and loss don't normally go together. Let me very quickly tell you a true story about my dad. It's super quick. Basically, my dad had been ill for a long time, and we knew it was coming, and I got the call at 6 a.m. on a Monday morning. It was my mum. It was bad news. She said, you need to come now. I'd known for some time that this call was coming, and yet I still wasn't prepared. Are we ever actually really prepared for that call? But basically, to sum it up, the doctor wasn't expecting my dad to last much longer, so I needed to get to the hospital as quickly as I possibly could, and I had to get there as fast as I possibly could. I was due to be giving a talk that day in a school here in Scotland in the Borders, so I had to phone my colleague and tell him what was happening, and he basically said, get off the phone, we'll sort it, go. And as I hung the phone up, turned round, my wife Ali handed me like an overnight bag, gave me a big hug. She knew what the call was, and basically said, just go. So like I say, gave her a big hug, ran out the door. Now, my dad had been rushed to hospital near where he lived, but 2 hours from where I was living. So my biggest fear was that I wouldn't make it in time to say goodbye. So, I'll be honest, a few speed limits might have been broken. I made it to the hospital. I parked up outside. I ran past all the people standing outside having a smoke. It's always a wonderful sight. And I continued to literally sprint along the corridors at the hospital. I followed that line that I was meant to follow. 3 flights of stairs, Ward 8, double doors ahead. And that's where I stopped and sucked in a few lungfuls of air because I knew that on the other side of those doors was my absolute hero, my best friend, my dad. And I was about to say goodbye to him for the last time. My brother had got there before me. He lived closer, as had my mum. They were sat there in the room in silence. They left the room. They gave me the time to sit and speak with Dad. Pumped full of morphine, very shallow breathing. He was completely unresponsive, but I kind of in a way didn't care, and I mean that respectfully, because it gave me a chance to say all the things I wanted to say. I kissed him on the forehead and I waited. Hours passed. More hours passed. He remained totally unconscious. Several hours later, and I'm talking nearly 28 hours later, having sat around sharing memories and telling stories from years gone past, my dad's eyes shot open. He lifted his head off the pillow, looked at Mum, looked at my brother, turned to me and simply said, "What the fuck's going on?" That was it. He then closed his eyes and he slipped away. That was my dad's last words, and I reckon they're absolutely perfect for the world that we're in today. He's the coolest dad in the world right to the very end. Now, I don't want to overanalyse his immortal last sentence, but could it be that my old man, who I assume knew everything about everything, knew nothing about anything? It's generally accepted that life is not a rehearsal. Now, this may explain why a lot of people seem to be making a total hash of it. Because we're all just making it up. We're all just making it up as we go along. In many ways, we're all just bumbling along in the dark. I mean, look around. The world is absolutely bonkers right now. Nothing but uncertainty. So just what is going on? And I think the short answer to that is nobody actually knows. But one thing is definitely certain. You and me, we're alive. And and as we have the chance to be alive and make a difference, for as long as we get to do that, then we might as well gie it laldy. It's a good Scottish phrase. To gie it laldy is the daily life equivalent of dance like no one's watching. To be in the moment. carefree and just generally giving it all you've got, but with a smile on your face and not a care for what others think. Although, to be fair, most people probably aren't watching at all. They're all too busy scrolling, watching the news and wondering what filters to use next. Sometimes in life, we just need to ask, what the fuck is going on? And remember, this thing they called life, gie it laldi.